Alright guys, this is my quick video on my cost of living after living 90 days in Medellin. What I'm going to be discussing today is my cost of living, where do I eat, like for cheap meals, where do I buy groceries, where do I buy empanadas, which is kind of like my little favorite local snack, the Civica card, which is basically my transportation card that I use to get from different locations, where do I buy my little favorite dessert, ATM, banking situation, where do I get my money from, and where do I work out at. All right, let's get right into the video. Let's start off with the cost of living. Again, this is my cost of living after 90 days in Medellin. Just so you know, my intent when I moved here, I knew I was going to stay here at least 90 days, at least 3 months. I was going to stay in different neighborhoods, but I decided that, after the first month living in Laureles area, I said, or Estadio, which is pretty much the same thing in my opinion. I said, you know what, I actually like this area. So I decided to stay here for the whole 90 days. So again, this is my breakout for my 3 months, January, February, and March. Let's go across the top, logic. Obviously my first Airbnb was like $551. The second one was $515 because I decided to move somewhere else, a little bit cheaper, offer more amenity, closer to things that I wanted. And of course, lodging pretty much in the same unit because I decided to extend for 30 days or $482. The reason the difference in the price, because I didn't have to pay an extra service fee. Same thing with restaurant. Obviously, I just about eat in and everywhere when I first got here. So I pretty much eat at all the restaurants, especially the ones where, they had the little quick menu de dia. I did that about a couple weeks or so. I'll discuss that more. And then of course the second month, I decided, I got tired of it. I decided to kind of cook more at home. I didn't go to as many restaurants because I was only going because the meal was cheap. Not necessarily satisfying, but just because it was cheap. And of course the third month, March, same thing. I cooked more. Again, I was getting into my rhythm, which is what I did when I was back in the United States. I didn't eat out as much. The longer I stayed here, the more I found my rhythm on what to buy, what to eat, where I wanted to eat. And I just wanted to cook more at home. And that's exactly what I did. The same thing with groceries. That kind of that's a correlation with groceries. Obviously, I spent more because I shopped at one place, or two places actually. Carruthers, which is the highest, expensive grocery store. And then, the same thing for the second month. Even when I moved, I was still going to that same grocery store. But I did find my groove because I was shopping at different grocery stores and figured it was so much better. The same thing with the third month. Obviously, I eliminated that one grocery store that I was shopping to exclusively and just stick to one grocery store, which I'm going to explain in just a second where I bought most of my groceries. Medical, nothing to explain about the medical. I'm ex-military, so this is just what I pay for medical, even though I don't get to use it here, but this is what I pay. Phone, same thing. I have Google Fi. This is what I pay. Obviously, they finally caught up with me after a year on the last month, so they shut off my Google Fi, but I still want to maintain the numbers, so I keep paying it. I'll think of something else later on. So right now, this is what I pay for telephone. And of course, this is just miscellaneous. It could be anything. Obviously, the first month, the second month, the third month, it just could be anything. Whatever's left over, whether it's entertainment, whether it's just whatever, that's what I just kind of lumped up in miscellaneous. My main thing was just focus on the lodging, restaurant, groceries, because that's what people have to deal with on a constant basis anyway. So yeah, again, total for the month, January, I spent almost $1,100 for the first month. The second month, basically the same thing, but less than $1,150, and of course it went down considerably. Again, I kind of just revert back to my old ways of just being comfortable and finding, what works for me, that I didn't have to expend. Just imagine if I was here longer, then I probably wouldn't even spend $784. So again, under that $1,000, which I've been shooting for the longest. This is probably the first time that I really shot way up under $1,000 since I've been traveling, which is almost a year. So anyway, all right, so let's get into the next thing. Where do I eat most of my cheap meals? Well, I don't, for the first 1 or 2 weeks, I ate at just about any and everywhere that offer meals for like 10, 11 pesos. And I did that for the first couple of weeks or so, I guess, week and a half or maybe a couple of weeks, and I just got tired of it. It was pretty much the same stuff, the same food. It was pretty much the same food, same rice, bean, egg, some type of meat, whether it's chicken or beef or whatever, an egg, like I said, juice, and maybe a soup and maybe a dessert, depends on whatever. I just got sick of it because it didn't matter where I ate, it all tasted the same. And I just realized, even though it was cheap, $3 for lunch, I just couldn't do it anymore. So that's when I think it dawned on me that I need to start cooking more at home, because I knew that I didn't want to eat at those same type restaurants all the time, even though they were very cheap. They worked out well, okay, but I think I overused them and I just got tired of them. Groceries, obviously, I started out with a store called Groceries, which I did for about the first month. Don't suggest that store if you're just looking for specialty item. But I narrowed it down to basically D1, Éxito, and this vegetable stand I'm going to share with the images right here. This became my go-to places for food. D1 is about the size of a nice 7-Eleven, nice large 7-Eleven. But this store is just packed with everything. Just everything you could imagine in the store, including liquor. If you're looking for wine and liquor, this store is packed with everything. And then anything I couldn't find in there, I would just go to Éxito. Anywhere that was a close Éxito, I would go to it. And this vegetable stand, which I'm showing you image right here, that's where I got all of my vegetables from, this particular place right here. This is 2 locations where I got my empanadas. Empanada became my favorite food. I was looking for mostly chicken empanada. I went to this one location right next to the Éxito, which is in Viva Laureles, which is the Laureles Mall. And then there's one right on like Centennial 70, which I'm sharing right here. But these are my favorite places because they're the only place that made chicken that I found. So, less than 3 pesos, which is basically what, 60, 70 cents, I don't know. It was very cheap. Transportation, Civica card. Listen, if you've been following me, you know that I only basically, either I walked most of the place or I took Metro. I took Uber a few times here and there, but mostly I took Uber. I took Metro or I walked. And I used to use a Civica card. And I just put money on the Civica card, and that became my go-to card for paying my transportation on Metro. Where do I buy dessert? I found this one little nice place on La Setenta. I don't even know the name of it, but it's below a hotel. I'm gonna give you the name of the hotel right here. And this is great dessert, all type of design. Look at it. This is good. I mean, I kind of cut back on dessert because I was eating it like every other day. It was so good. But if you're in Laureles, and want to get some really great variety dessert, go to this place right here. Bank, I just pretty much use this particular bank because I never got a lot of money. I just put out what I needed for the month, and this gave me the amount I needed without limitation. So I chose this particular bank right here. And lastly, where do I work out at? All right, this is where I worked out at every day for the most part. Every day I went to this place. It was a 10-minute walk, 15-minute walk, there and back. It was perfect. It was free. Didn't have to pay anything. I'll always try to look for outdoors facilities no matter where I go. And this was probably one of the best I've ran into since I've been traveling. So I've been really satisfied with this one right here. So, and that's it, guys. That is my cost of living after 90 days living in Medellin. I hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I will definitely see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.